Over 25,000 children are affected by child labour in Ghana. And today I have the CEO of Challenging Heights, James Kofi Annan, who also was a victim, to hear his story about how he came out to be such a successful man right now. James, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
At the tender age of 6 years old, you were a victim of what we call child labour.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I come from a village near the coast in Winneba where fishing is the mainstay, and almost every household at that time was affected by child labor. Now I'm the last born of 12 children of my mother.
Oh, 12.
And none of the 11 children went to school. And most of them actually worked as children. So when I was 6 years, it was just the regular routine that I was also supposed to be working at that time. Virtually 17 hours a day.
Doing what?
Fishing. It didn't matter how young you were supposed to work, whether in the daytime or in the nighttime, depending on what time of the day you get enough fish. For me, the important point which my organization tried to address is the kind of abuses that came alongside my working, when a lot of times I was tortured and a lot of times I was denied food. In fact, throughout my years of working as a child, I never had access to medical care.
Wow.
And I was not expected to make a mistake, and anytime I made a mistake, I was abused in manners that you cannot even wish for your worst of enemies. If I'm casting a net and then the net itself got entangled, you know, that means that about 30 minutes lost.
Wow.
And therefore I'll be beaten. And so those kind of abuses that came with it.
So how many children, at that time you were 6 years old, how many other children were facing the same issue that you were?
I work with about 15 different fishing companies on Lake Volta.
Okay.
So it's not only one person. And in each of the companies that I work in, I can see an average of 7 children in each of the companies. So the numbers were many for each of the companies. Now we have around 25,000 children working on that lake. That is a reduced number. Those days when I was working there, they would have been far, far, far more than that. But there was no law, we didn't have any law to prohibit such usage of children. So it was free for all.
When you worked, were you paid? Were your parents paid?
I was never paid. Probably my compensation was daily food. I was too young to know what was happening, but I know that my father was deeply involved in the whole transaction. But I was away from them for a very long time. So I have very limited memories of my dad, because I didn't get to live with him so much. My mom, of course, when I returned, I had a lot of time with her, so I have a lot of.
Were you upset? Were you angry as a child when you came back to your parents?
Yeah, I was upset. In fact, I am putting a lot of these details into a book that I'm coming up with. I was very upset, but when I returned, I didn't want to talk about it because I wanted to concentrate on education. For me, education is everything. Even though I did not have the benefits of role models in my home, because we didn't have educated people in my home, I still felt that the defining factor in my future was education. I had that unexplained intrinsic motivation to go to school. At that time, my parents were not in a position to take care of me. Of course, my dad was very angry at me, you know, returning. But my mom was very welcoming.
But how did you return? Sorry, before you continue, how did you return?
No, I was originally named after a man called Odifun Kansen, who is the head of the African Faith Tabernacle Church. And my both parents were pastors in that church. You don't have to have education to be a pastor in that church. So that year the man died, and the church decided that anyone who was named after him should be brought to the funeral ceremony. So I was then deep inside somewhere on Lake Volta, and my parents had looked for me and brought me to the funeral, which is at Enyinem. So whilst we were having a funeral, my parents were busily involved. There was this cargo truck that loaded yam that was coming from the north side coming to the south. And the vehicle had actually broken down just by the roadside. They were fixing it. and they happened to be speaking my language, which is a futu.
Okay.
You know, I joined them, helping them out. Sometimes people come and buy yam, they will ask in my language.
Yeah.
I take some and give it to them.
Oh, okay.
So it's like they liked me.
Yeah.
So about 3 days, they were still fixing the vehicle. And this is a funeral that was more than 1 week long.
Wow.
So as they finished fixing the vehicle and they were going, I said, okay, can I go with you? When you are coming back, they were actually going right to Cape Coast.
Okay.
So I said, when you get to my hometown, I can get down, and then when you are coming back, I can join you back. And they agreed. You know, this is the attitude of Ghanaians. We don't even ask, who is this child? I was 13 years old then. I was not supposed to be left alone.
Yeah.
And they were not supposed to even allow me into their vehicle, but they allowed me. So when we go to Winneba, I just got down, walked straight to the beach, and I located my house, and that was it. But I must say that I attempted to run away many times. I didn't succeed.
Wow. What happens when you try to run away? Did you get caught by the people that were with you?
Oh, yes. I mean, you see, the lake is such that it's very inaccessible. I was working between Yeji and Bupe. And at that time, the only time that the boat will go is Wednesdays, when the boat will go to the villages, Sundays when the boat will come back. And the only available one is the one that your master is also going to join. And there's no vehicle around it.
Wow.
So the chances of being caught is almost 100%.
Yeah.
So anytime I attempted to escape, I was actually caught. And in most of the masters that I work with, you know, I try to escape. Most of them. Because you see, it's painful. The work is painful, difficult, young, working so many hours in the night. I was always afraid, and you know, the fear of dying was always with me, you know.
And when you were caught, did they have to really, they beat you, they torment you?
It was brutal. Because they want to make sure that no other child would like to run away. So you would be an example of what happened to them if they tried to.
Do you have any scars?
I have many of them on my body. But I remember the first time I tried to escape, they made a noose out of a nylon triple twine rope, the one that you use to tow a vehicle. Yeah, that's what we used to drag the nets. Yeah. They made a noose out of it and tightened it around my neck and pulled me. I became like a scapegoat.
Wow.
I still have the mark here.
Wow.
You know, it diminished a little bit, but I still have the mark there.
And so with your work that you do, I know that you do a lot of rescue missions to the Volta Lake.
Yeah.
How many children have you rescued so far from there?
We are a decade old now. We are celebrating our 10 years, official 10 years in February. And so far we've rescued a little over 1,200 children from the lake. We have a rehabilitation center that the children go through counseling, medical care.
Because I was going to say, like psychologically, as a child going through that and coming out, they might have nightmares.
They do, even as an adult. I'm 40 years this year.
Wow.
I still live with some of the traumas that
you went
through. So it's been a lot.
It's been difficult. Because I'll say that your story is a successful story. For you to come out and be a graduate and do your master's in communication, then further on go and set up your own businesses before you went to do work in Barclays Bank as a manager. I mean, your story is very successful. Not everybody can have the same type of story that you've had.
You know, after I returned, went to school, I went to Winneba Secondary School, which is the best secondary school in Ghana, you know. I went to Legon for my first degree and then got a job with Barclays Bank. Whilst at Barclays, I started Challenging Heights. So I was doing it alongside as a hobby. I left Barclays because I needed to devote more time for Challenging Heights because it was growing leap and bounds, and that's my passion. So I really wanted to devote more time for it. So I left it and then started setting up businesses. Currently, I have about 5 companies going. Alongside, I did my master's degree. I was given a doctorate degree by Grand Valley State University in Michigan. So appropriately, you could prefix my name with doctor.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I tell a story for the sake of other children who think that there's no hope. Yeah, I am. With all the abuses, I returned when I didn't even know how to write A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3 at the age of 13.
Wow.
And yet I set a record in the school that I attended. That record is still there unbroken.
Wow.
I'm telling you. I just want to draw your attention to the enormity of the talent that we are wasting to this child labor issue. I've met Queen Silva of Sweden. I've met the Pope recently. I had a meeting with the Pope in Vatican.
Fantastic.
You know, this is somebody who would have wasted on the lake.
Yeah.
So if we want to do something about it, the time to do something about it is now.
Yeah. But James, is there any funding that is available to support what you're doing?
My businesses support my organization. If I don't put in something, who else will put in something for me?
There's no government funding for supporting?
I don't have government funding. I have external funding and some local funding. But primarily, I would like to demonstrate that my organization is self-sustaining. So I use my businesses to support my organization and then invite others. So I have a number of organizations from America, from UK, Sweden, Netherlands, who support my organization. I have organizations from Ghana, I can mention African Women's Development Fund that support my organization. The entire budget for operational budgets for the Human Trafficking Secretariat of the Ministry of Gender Social Protection is just about 200,000 Ghana cedis, which is approximately 50,000 pounds. Yet, to date, only about 3,000 Ghana cedis
which
has
is
been
about
released.
600-700 pounds?
Pounds.
Has been released.
Has been released to them. You can see that we have we are confronted with genuine financial difficulties. But you see, the children's rights, protection, education cannot wait. That must take precedence over everything else that we do. You cannot tell me that you have enough money to do road when, in fact, your children's issues are left unattended to. You need to solve the problem now before it degenerates into that adult sitting on the roadside. But in this country, what do we see? We see a reverse. And actually seeing children pushing adults to beg. So both the adults and the children. What is the guarantee for these children? The future of these children. We don't have the sense of child protection in this country. So our future is not guaranteed. That must change. And if we don't do something about it right now, we are creating and recreating this monster of robbery. And when it's an election year, you see some people have been let loose with cutlasses, with this, with that.
Wow.
Politicians are taking advantage of them and using them. Check the backgrounds of those children. You see that there are those who did not have the opportunity to have good education.
Cool. Yes. And so tell me about the at-risk school that you have.
Yeah, I have a school that is now currently almost 800 children. Wow. They are not necessarily rescue children. They are children in the community. Some are normal community children. Others are children that we have rescued and brought them there. We want to create an atmosphere where this is devoid of stigmatization. So we combined, all manner of children. We just graduated our first JHS. Wow. All of them got very good schools. We have 7 of them going to Winneba Secondary School, which is the best secondary school. We have some of them going to Agri Memorial. We have some going to Saban Secondary School. So we are proud of those children who managed to go into, and they are all doing well at the moment. Excellent. And we have other projects. We give support to women whose children are vulnerable, so that they can have some economic benefits. They can have income to take care of their own children. So far, we've done over 1,000 of them. We are doing a lot of community programs. As I speak to you now, we are distributing shoes to children, uniforms, we pay their fees, we counsel them. We have community mobilization committees. We call them community child protection committees that we have formed and trained. Their role is to make sure that children are protected and that when there's any case of trafficking, they will know it early and prevent it. So far, it's been a good effort. That's what I would say.
And when we say like the rights of a child, what is the rights of a child?
The right of the child is primarily enshrined in our constitution as Ghanaians. I mean, you can take it from the world view. We have the UN Convention on the Right of the Child that sets out the protection models as to how we should treat children. Yeah. We are looking specifically at the section 25 of the Constitution that states that every child would have to have at least compulsory and free basic education. Yeah. So that is the child's right that you cannot take away, because the Constitution is our fundamental law. Yeah. So books must be ready for him, classrooms must be prepared, chairs, desks, all teachers, everything must be there for free. Yeah. It says it's free. So that is one. Then we come to our Children's Act, Act 560. It says that no one should put a child into any form of abuse, including child labor. So that child also is protected under that law. Yeah. You know, we have the Domestic Violence Act, which also protects the children. We have many frameworks that must protect the children. So that is the right of the child. So you cannot ask the child to work beyond certain hours. Okay. For instance, your own child can help you cooking, washing. Yeah. Those things are children's development issues. Yeah. That is okay. Yeah. But you cannot ask a child from dawn 5 a.m. to start working in the house, not going to school, and he's the first person to wake up, the last person to go to bed. Yeah. That is not acceptable. That would affect the child's health, to affect the child's development, and it will affect the child's education. Yeah. And the Children's Act says no. Okay. And once it says no, that becomes the right of the child to be protected from that. Okay. Now, you see that we say education for all by the year 2015. That's what we said. And yet we still are talking about no availability of classrooms, children walking, a child of 6 years old walking miles, sometimes 3 hours to school and 3 hours back. It means that you are saying that the child shouldn't go to school. So that is fundamentally wrong. We've already ruled out that child. Yeah. And so what we are saying is that there are some children who are about 200,000 who are within the catchment areas of school, like there are classrooms, there are teachers. Get those children in school immediately, so that at least we can save something. Yeah. That is what we are saying. Yeah. It doesn't seem to me that we have any sense of urgency as the deadline comes to a close. It just looks like a normal work as usual. That is not right. All over the world, everyone is talking about this deadline. Yeah. And everyone is assembling its citizens and to work towards it. Ghana, do you hear us talking about it? No. I moved from here to places in the world. Yeah. I had a meeting with Ellen Sirleaf in Liberia last year. Herself, the Indonesian president, David Cameron of UK, they are the co-chairs of the high-level panel that's looking at the actions that will be taken post the Millennium Development Goals. Yeah. Now, I was in a meeting with her, and it's like you can see the enthusiasm the passion, around. Subsequently, I've been to other countries talking about these issues. Yet, in my own country, I've never attended even a single meeting. Wow. We have neglected our own subscription to the goals, and that's not right. Yeah. I'm going to let you be the president of Ghana, and His Excellency James Kofi Annan. 3 things that you would do as a president to change the education system. What are the 3 things you would do straight away as a president? If I am a president of this country, first of all, I'll give the management of education, especially the schools, to the communities. Okay. Let the communities decide who they want to teach in their classrooms, and let them manage it. Okay. The number 2 thing that I will do is to ensure that everybody who has had some education, at least up to the basic level, is made to pay a token into an educational fund, which we have now. Okay. That will go back into the various communities to change and to promote education. Okay. Number 3 thing that I will do is every corrupt money that I take, I'll push it back into education. You see that everything I've said is about education.
Yeah.
So if, for instance, somebody has been caught in a cocaine scandal and has been prosecuted, if I have confiscated everything, everything should go into education. Okay. Education can change the world. Yeah. It has changed my life. I'm a testimony to that. Oh, yeah. Even when you are not employed, you can find something to do for yourself. And once you are educated, you know that if I don't have enough income, I don't have to bring up a child that I cannot take care of. Wow. To become a burden to another person. So that is the conclusion of the matter. Education should be the gospel. Before we go, James, you have won numerous amount of awards. You won the Gubo Awards in 2012, and you're celebrated all over, not just in Ghana, but around the world. I've won so far 12 international awards, including the Guba Award. I won the World Children's Prize last year. I just won the C10 Award from the Queen of Sweden, Queen Silva. And then I also was just given my doctorate degree, which is also an award that I won. How does it make you feel to win an award? It's very humbling. A lot of times when I think about the awards that I've won, especially at the time of receiving it, I cast my mind back to the very children who put me on that platform. Although I feel like I am supporting them, I'm trying to do something to help children, they in turn put me on those platforms and makes me popular around the world. And for me, it's humbling that these very children who you think are vulnerable, who you think you are supporting, are the ones who have the strength to put you out there, to lift you and put you on that stage of recognition. That is very humbling. I think that, I mean, your story and everything that you've been through, and for you to come out and be able to tell your story, I was just marveled by what you've done. And so I just want to say thank you very much, and we hope that you can continue. We hope that you get more funding and more support out there to continue the 10 years of hard work of Challenging Heights. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. Thank you for having me.